Thank you very much. Okay, so, well, I'm going to talk about how to protect critical, sensitive information, intellectual property in an industrial environment. It's a different approach compared with protecting a network. It's just protecting files, CAD, documents, etc., which contains sensitive information. And, well, how can we protect that information across the supply chain, okay? First of all, well, I will do a quick introduction, and then I will do a demo on how to protect CAD files, Office files, etc. But first of all, let me introduce SILPATH. What we do is data-centric security. At the end, what we try to protect, instead of the perimeter or the host, we protect the information itself. So we apply a layer over the files that will travel with the files wherever they go. So you can keep the information protected and under control. So it's like when you put a lock and an antenna around a document or around a file, the lock will make that the file is encrypted, and the antenna will let you control what others can do with your files. So you can see if somebody is trying to access without permission, you can see who is opening the file, you can destroy the documents remotely, these kind of things, okay? Do you know, some of you know this kind of technology, information rights management, data-centric security? Okay, how many of you work in the industrial sector? Okay, so. Okay, so the problem that we are trying to mitigate is the data leaks problem. You can see in the news every day a lot of, not only in the industrial sector, but also in financial services, any kind of company, that at the end, there are a lot of ways of getting a breach. So we can see that the use of encryption and employee awareness do that these kind of breaches can be reduced. And also, for example, the opposite side, if you work with the cloud, with mobile devices, at the end, information can be everywhere, and this increases the probability of that you can have a data breach, okay? What kind of data breaches, or which is the source of the data breach? Sometimes it's a human error, so you perhaps are sending information to another party, and you send the email to the wrong recipient. So at the end, the document ends in the wrong hands, for example. Another thing, for example, can be a system glitch. You can be given more permissions than you should to a folder or a cloud service, etc., and you can be breached, or you can have a data leak in that sense. The most famous one, hacking, internal threats, that's the ones that appear every day in the news. But apart from an external attacker, it's important that, to tell that some data breaches happen because of you have perhaps an ex-employee that goes out to another competitor or other company, or even if you work in the supply chain, you don't work alone as a company. You work with a lot of contractors, suppliers, etc. So, okay, you can protect your networks, but your information can be there in the supplier, and you don't know if an employee of the supplier is going to their parties, etc., and can bring with him or with her the information, okay? So the kind of information that is leaked is mainly documents, files, emails, and also database dumps. In SILPATH, we protect documents and emails, not the databases, for example. Talking more in more detail about the industrial sector, we can see that this is a sector, manufacturing, that is a driver of innovation. There is a lot of patents, a lot of innovation in the processes and how you do the things. For example, companies that are building an engine, there are a lot of intellectual property in the components, in the way they are building that, etc. And it's a critical sector for Europe and also, for example, for the Basque country. So around 2,000 companies just manufacturing, it's not all the industrial, and 30 million direct employees in this sector, in manufacturing sector, okay? This is a summary of the Verizon data breach investigation report that tells that in this sector, the most probable cause of data breach is external, And it's motivated by espionage, because at the end, what others can want to get from an industrial company is to get the intellectual property, because they are, for example, doing the same thing. So they want to sell these things to another companies, etc. Imagine a company doing, for example, engines, aeronautics, cars. So this is the type of information that is more probable of having a breach. Okay. Which are the difficulties of protecting this kind of information in the industrial sector, in the supply chain? As I have said at the beginning, there is a mix. You are not alone in the company. You can protect your company with firewalls, etc. But you have to see that the information can be in your suppliers. So they can be working with your CAD files, with your guides, etc. And there is a lack of visibility on that. You don't know. You can be monitoring what your employees do, but it's difficult to monitor what other parties in the supply chain are doing with your information. Okay. Also, there is a lot of competition. We can see, well, even here, for example, you know that some person goes to another company, industrial, that could be a competitor or it's a competitor. So this happens every day in this sector. And also, of course, the things that appear, well, the news that appear in the TV and the newspapers, there are persistent attacks to get intellectual property, to get the sensitive information of the companies, and this is also a risk. Which kinds of information can we find here? So we see, for example, CAD files, not only Office files with guides or PDF, etc. There is a lot of intellectual property in the components, in the designs, in the drawings, etc. There are multiple vendors here. Not only, for example, it's not a standard like PDF or Microsoft, for example, Office. We can see here SolidWorks, PTC, AutoCAD, these kind of things. And there are a lot of collaboration tools, because you can be sharing the information with your PLM, Product Lifecycle Management. You can be sharing the information in the cloud, in SharePoint. So the information, these kind of files are moving in different ways between the company and the suppliers, for example. Okay. So let's see what happens when we send a file to other companies. We send information to the intended recipients, but once they have the information, we don't know what is happening with that. So they can be saving the information, copying them, sending to other parties, etc. And this problem is even huge when you collaborate with mobile devices, with cloud services, etc., because information can be everywhere. It's very difficult for IT departments to keep control of this information once it's out of the perimeter of the network. It's very difficult to control that. So what we see is that we are moving to what we call the perimeterless company or enterprise. At the end, you can have a lot of firewalls. You can put protection in your host, in your file servers, in your document management system. But the reality is that information can be everywhere. So we think that the real perimeter of the company is where your information is, not just the frontier to the internet. Okay. So which challenge we see, for example, with this point of view in the security teams in the companies? We see that they need to protect information, but not only when that it's inside the information that is inside of the network, but information that they have the ownership, but can be everywhere. So how can I protect my files when I have shared them to other parties everywhere? Okay. How can I have visibility of who is opening my files? If somebody is trying to access without permissions to the files, who is opening the data? Okay. How can I control, for example, that I send you a file, but I want you to only view the file, but I don't want you to print the file, to save the file, to copy and paste, etc. How can you control this kind of permissions? And how can I have a quick reaction? And for example, if I know that I'm stopping my relationship with you or with a partner, how can I do that if I have shared 25,000 documents or files or information with you, how can I stop you to access any more to the files, even if you have the files in your network and in your computers, etc. Okay? And one of the most important ones, how can we do this in a way that it's easy to use for the end user? So at the end, security puts sometimes the things more complex for the end users, etc. So they are used to use their Office suites, their AutoCAD, their tools, the regular cloud applications. So it's very important not changing too much the way they work, okay, to be successful here. Okay, how other tools approach or try to approach the problem of accessing or to the intellectual property or controlling intellectual property? Okay, we have been commenting before, perimeter solutions. At the end, what they try to prevent is the access to the network. So, okay, if you don't want attackers to enter inside, it's okay, but what happens if you send information outside? You need to control that, and with this kind of solution, you cannot, okay? Encryption. Okay, you can protect information. You can send it, for example, public key, PGP, etc. But the problem of this is that once you have sent this information outside of the network and it's unencrypted, the user can do anything he wants with the information. So he can copy, he can print, he can save in a USB device, and it's not under control, okay? I don't know if you know data leak prevention tools. Data leak prevention tool is like a police that puts outside of in the perimeter of the network also, and monitor the things that you are trying to send outside. So it scans the contents of the files, and if you detect that there are sensitive information, confidential information, that, for example, there is a kind of pattern or a credit card number or something like that, you stop that these kind of files can be sent out of the network. But sometimes you need to share this outside. You need to put the CAD file in a supplier, as I have said before, or in a customer or whatever. And also, cloud access security brokers, CASBs, it's like a DLP for the cloud. So at the end, what they monitor is sensitive information that you have in Box, in Office 365, in this kind of suites. And they monitor that you cannot, for example, download some kind of information. But sometimes, as we have said before, the DLP, you need to download the files, you need to share them. So once it's outside of the control of the CASB or the DLP, you lose the control of over the information, okay? So which is the approach of data-centric security? So what we do is we encrypt the data, we protect the CAD files, the Office files, the PDF. We enforce access control, so we can tell, okay, only these people can access to the files, only these groups in the company, only these external users with these permissions. For example, be only an edit, but not copy and paste, not printing. You can prevent data leaks in the sense that in real time, I can click on a button and restrict the access of the people that could before accessing the files, even if the files are in their laptop or in their networks, okay? And track and audit. I can see when somebody has opened my file, if somebody was trying to access the file without permission, if somebody that has permissions could and protect the file, I can see this kind of things, okay? So at the end, it's like this document with this lock and this antenna traveling, and you can control, okay, I can give access to this contractor, to these employees, but this former employee that left the company, I don't want him anymore to access. Even if, for example, he has a document at home or a drawing at home, you can see if he is still trying to access to your files, okay? And also, you block the access to a partner, or even if you have a breach in the network, if you have your information encrypted in the network, you have another layer of security. It's protected, it's encrypted. They can take out the files, but they are not going to be able to open them, okay? So the situation is that if you have this information with this lock and this antenna traveling around the world, you can do that only the right recipients or the right persons open the file, and if somebody's trying to access the file without permissions, they will receive an access denied. So this is data-centric security, this data security, that follows your files wherever they travel. Okay, so I'm going to show you more or less how it works, but we are going to see it in a demo, in a quick 5 minutes, 10 minutes demo. But you can protect the files with different ways. You can, for example, tell, okay, all the files that are stored in this file server, in this cloud system, in Office 365, when the user uploads a file there, the file will be protected. And, well, or even, for example, with the right click over a file, you can protect that. And once you have protected the file, you can move it through email, through the cloud, through other media. You can use your tools, like AutoCAD, like Office, to open them, and you can track what is happening with your file. So you can, for example, when you protect, I will show you this application. You can, for example, tell, okay, this user, I only want him to view and edit permissions, and not copy and paste, etc. I can even put an expiration date and watermarks. I can do that when they open the file. In every page of a PDF, they see the email address cross. So if they take a screenshot or a photo, the screenshot will travel with their email address. Okay. You can share the information is protected in the origin and travel encrypted in the cloud, etc., and arrives to the recipient. And they can open with the regular tools, with Office, with Adobe, with AutoCAD, etc. So you can prevent accessing your intellectual property integrated with your regular apps. Okay. And again, monitoring the activity to see what is happening. Okay. So, well, to invite in a network works integrated with the Active Directory, but if you work with external users, they will receive an invitation where they can register to access to your information. Okay. So let's okay, sorry. Let's go to the demo, and I will show you how can we protect CAD. At the end, we have a technology that we call Silpa Security Sandbox, which is around the application that you use to open the files, and controls, for example, if you are trying to send to the printer a document, if you are trying to do copy and paste. So we put in the user space, controlling what the user is doing with the application and blocking some actions depending on the rights of the user. As I have said, it's a dynamic protection. You can, in real time, control what others can do with the file. And it works with AutoCAD, with Solid Edge, or PTC Creo. Okay. So I'm going to move now to any question until now before going to the demo. Okay. Okay, so there are, as I have said before, there are different ways to protect information. I'm going to show you one of them, well, some of them. Imagine this user. I don't know if it's, you can, that is Mark Aldrin, that is working for a company, S3 Lab, for example. And he's working in a project called, for example, ERC project that is exchanging sensitive information with other partners or even other employees inside of the company. Okay, so he wants to protect the sensitive information, the sensitive CAD drawings, CAD files, and now he can create a protection policy by himself, telling, okay, I'm working in the ERC project. These are documents protected for ERC project. This is a description and a name of the policy. Okay, I'm going to remove these things first. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is, okay, I am here alone in the policy, but I want to give access to this user, Andy Robinson, for example, a teammate from the company, and I'm going to give him view and edit permissions over the file, but not printing or copy and paste. Imagine that I work also with this external partner, William Garrett, from company in Dalam, and I want to give him view-only permissions. No, I don't want he modify the files, can copy the files, etc., or export contents. And I can even, for example, give permissions to an external domain. So, okay, everybody in this company, as for lab, I don't want them I want that they can open the files, but only with view-only permissions, for example. Or let's, for example, put view and edit and, well, printing, for example. Okay. So I can configure this. I can set up, for example, an expiration date. So we are going to send them the critical information, but I will take care that they can only open the data or information until the end of the month, until the end of November, okay? I can allow offline access to the information. For example, they can be open in the file 10 days in offline mode, but after 10 days, they need to check again if they still have permission over the files. And I can add watermarks over the files. So as I have said, in every page of a PDF, you can find your email address cross. So if you take a screenshot, the screenshot will travel with them. You can share also this protection policy with other teammates. So let's share this, for example, with Andrew. And Andrew now will be able to also have this policy ready to protect their information around this context of people, etc. So to have the information under control, okay? So now we have here several files. Here is a CAD drawing from AutoCAD, also an Office file. Imagine there are technical guides, etc. So let's protect that. So we can just drag and drop the documents here to this box, and the files are protected. You can see, for example, that we put an overlay icon over the drawing, SP icon, or SP here around the Word file, okay? So now let's simulate that. Imagine that we have invited an external user, for example, William from other companies. So I'm going to switch here for demo purposes to this user, and let's see what happens when he opens the file, the Word document, okay? So we open the file in Word, but as he has only view permissions, he cannot do anything, just viewing the file. So he cannot copy, he cannot modify the file, etc. You can see that he can view, but he cannot do any other thing, okay? Let's open a CAD drawing, okay? So we have here AutoCAD. So let's double-click on the file. Now the security sandbox technology is appearing, well, the resolution. And now you can see in this bar that this user has only view permissions. So we are opening the file with AutoCAD, okay? Imagine that, well, this is a two dimensions drawing. And for example, if I try to, don't know, let's print it. If I try to print, I can see that there are no printers here, so I cannot do anything with that. It's controlled, so you cannot protect the file. Okay. There is also a possibility, for example, to export to let's see, a file, for example, this one. But the thing is that the exported file will have 0 kilobytes, so you cannot do anything with it. Okay, so it's protected. So, well, you can export it, but as you can see here, the file is 0 bytes, so you cannot do anything with that file. You can only view, but you cannot modify. You can export it. You cannot print it, etc. Okay, so now let's close out AutoCAD. And now let's simulate that you log in with Becker, another people, for example, another user in the same company. So let's try to simulate that she tries to open a protected file. So let's see what happened with the Office file. So she cannot open it. She doesn't have the right permissions. And the same with AutoCAD. So she, for example, has access to a folder, but it's telling you that you cannot access the file because you don't have the right permissions, okay? And now let's come back to the user that protected the information, which is Mark. And let's see what happened with my file. So I'm going to drag and drop here the CAD file. So I can see that the file was protected today with this policy. I have all the permissions. I can unprotect the file. I can lock the file. So imagine that I have sent 25 copies to other people. I can block for everybody. the file, I can modify the permission, so I can tell, okay, now I don't want William access anymore to my file. So I can block the file for William, and William won't be able to access anymore. I can see the tracking. I know that William has already opened the file. Here I can see all the details over when he opened the file, etc., some stats. And in warnings, I can see that Anne was trying to access the file, but she couldn't because she didn't have the right permissions, okay? So now, well, I have also here my information about all the documents that I have protected, the access of other people to the protected documents, and the warnings over the protected documents. So here I can see, okay, what happened with this file? Somebody tried to access, but she couldn't. And now, for example, remember that we have removed from the policy William, okay? So it's not anymore in the policy. If we try to log with William again, to log in, and I try to open again the file, it's telling me that she cannot open the drawing, okay? So I can move this file, I can copy whatever I want, I can send it through the cloud, I can do, but I have this information under my control wherever it goes, okay? Of course, there is also a web console where the admin can see what is happening with the sensitive information around the globe. You can, for example, restrict access by IP, by policy, etc. You can see what happened, not only with one file, the one that I have protected, but also with any file in the company. So I can click here and see what happened if somebody tried to access. I can block the files, etc. And I can control everything about the sensitive information, no matter where it goes, okay? And okay, apart from this tool that you can control this directly, the protection, the tracking, there are another ways, more easier from the end user. So you can protect a kind of folder. So you can set up a rule, for example. Sorry, let's move to the protector. So you can, for example, this is done typically with another tools, but you can tell, okay, all the documents that are put in this folder, this protected folder, for example, will be automatically protected with this policy. So we are working with ERC project, so let's protect that with that policy. So if I move documents there to this folder, or for example, just a cat drawing, let's unprotect first the file. So it's very easy to unprotect. And we try to move them to the folder. Well, even if we don't have these applications opened, once we put the file there, it's automatically protected. And this can happen in the cloud, in a network file shares, in NetApps, whatever. So, okay, this is more or less a summary about the concept of data-centric security. It's another concept in cybersecurity, or how to protect the information for the industrial sector, but not the network, not the machines, really something that has a lot of value for the company, the intellectual property, etc. So with this kind of technology, you can have control of this wherever it travels. So that's everything. I don't know if somebody has some question that I can answer.
There is any question for Luis?
Okay, so
thank you, Luis.
Thank you very much. So I'm open to talk to you if you are interested. Okay, thank you.